Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land, and I'm your host, Rolene Marks. And as always, we take a look at some of the top stories making the headlines in Israel. And today's top story is a growing diplomatic spat between Israel and Poland. And Poland has pulled out of attending the Visegrad summit that is taking place next month in Israel. The Polish Prime Minister has pulled out within the last couple of hours, and the reasons are as follows. Yesterday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tapped Israel Katz as the foreign minister, and discussing Polish anti-Semitism last night on Israeli TV, the FM is said to have said that the Poles have suckled anti-Semitism with their mother's milk. Now, Prime Minister Morawiecki of Poland was outraged and called the foreign minister's comments racist and unacceptable. And the Poles are now considering recalling their ambassador and have summoned Israel's ambassador to Poland for a dressing down. Now, this follows last year's diplomatic dispute and subsequent agreement between Israel and Poland to end a dispute over laws passed in Warsaw that criminalizes blaming Poles for Holocaust crimes. As one can imagine, it is a very, very sensitive subject for both Israelis and Poles, and defending his comments, Foreign Minister Katz said that he is the descendant of Holocaust survivors. And now to more local news, or news with our neighbors. And the Palestinian Authority have accused Israel of piracy. What does this entail? The spokesperson for Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas has denounced Israel's decision to cut $500 million shekels in payments to what they call security prisoners and their families. Now, many of you will be familiar with the concept, the horrible phenomenon called pay for slay, where the perpetrators of terror attacks against Israelis receive a monthly stipend. And following the brutal rape and murder of Ari Ansbacher just last week, and the fact that there is speculation that the perpetrator, Arafat Irfaiya, said it was a terror attack because he knew that his family would receive a monthly stipend as well as himself. Israel has now decided that taxes that are payable to the Palestinian Authority, because this money goes towards creating this economy of terror and pay for slay, they need to be cut. So a Palestinian Authority official, Nabil Abu Rudameh, calls it piracy. We call it not funding terrorism. But speaking of the Palestinians, and is the Arab world getting tired of the constant or perpetual violence? Or are they losing patience with the Palestinians? And judging by the outcomes of the Warsaw summit last week, which saw our Prime Minister attend with some 60 other representatives from around the world, including the region, the Palestinian issue is not a priority, but dealing with Iran and the threat that Iran poses to the region, and in fact to Europe and the rest of the world, is. And last week we chatted a little bit about the fact that the IDF have warned that groups within the Gaza Strip, such as Islamic Jihad, may try and provoke a war with Israel to try and win back international support and sympathy as well as financing. Now, what is very, very interesting is that this is predictable behavior from these terror elements within the Gaza Strip, because we are in an election cycle, and because it has been made pretty clear that their issues are not a priority. Now, the Palestinians elected not to attend the Warsaw summit, and Jason Greenblatt, the U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, said that yet again they've missed the opportunity to try and find workable solutions for them in the region. But in keeping with the IDF's predictions, over the last weekend we saw an increase in the amount of violence on the border with Gaza. In fact, an IDF soldier was hurt, and in response, Israel struck terror targets. So a very, very interesting time in the region indeed. And our hope is that the diplomatic dispute between Israel and the Poles can be sorted out and settled soon. And don't forget that you can read more of our amazing, incredible original content at www.layoftheland.online. That's www.layoftheland.online. You can read today about Amnesty International. Have they lost the plot when it comes to dealing with Israel? Are they disproportionately targeting Israel? And also, you can learn about the fact that when you got to go, you need to know where you got to go. And Israeli startup has invented P-Pass, which helps you figure out where to go when you're traveling and really need to go. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at Lotl Site. That's at LOTL Site. And don't forget to receive your daily edition of the Israel Brief. Simply subscribe by clicking on the button below or on the little bell icon. This is the Israel Brief. I'm Rolene Marks, and we'll chat again tomorrow.